Lori Vallow Daybell got married at 19 to her high school sweetheart, Nelson Yanes, but it ended in divorce less than 3 years later. She got married again when she was 22 to a man named William LaJoya, and they had a son together named Colby. She ended up divorcing William less than 3 years later. She then married a man named Joseph Anthony Ryan Jr., who legally adopted Colby. Lori and Joseph had a daughter named Ty Lee. This marriage would also end in divorce. Lori's brother, Alex Cox, attacked Joseph, claiming that Joseph had been abusive to Lori and the kids. Alex was jailed for the assault. Joseph died in his apartment 11 years later from a heart attack. Lori went on to marry Charles Vallow in Las Vegas, Nevada. They had adopted Charles's grandnephew, J.J. Vallow. Lori became interested in a series of books called Standing in Holy Places, written by Chad Daybell. Chad Daybell graduated college with a degree in journalism and worked as a copy editor at a newspaper. He left the job at the newspaper to start his own publishing company and self-published his own books. His books were mostly about post-apocalyptic dystopian societies and based the characters on members of his own family. However, he claimed that his books were not fiction but predictions of the future that he saw through supernatural visions. Chad wanted to be a writer, but his books did not make him a lot of money, so he also worked as a gravedigger. Eventually, his publishing company went out of business. Lori and Chad met each other at a meet and greet event. Even though Chad was married to a woman named Tammy and had kids with her, he began to seduce Lori by saying he and Lori were married in several previous lifetimes, and they formed a strong connection. Chad and Lori began an affair and would communicate in secret. While Charles was on a business trip, Lori arranged an overnight gathering at her home and invited Chad. Chad shared his unique religious beliefs with the group and claimed to have lived 31 different lives on different planets. He called people either light or dark based on their affiliation with Jesus or Satan. Chad reinforced the belief that he and Lori lived previous lives on different planets and that they shared a special connection. Lori became obsessed with Chad and formed a strong connection to him, similar to a cult leader and his follower. They started a podcast together along with a friend named Melanie Gibb and started to talk about their belief in zombies and started to resemble a doomsday cult. Lori decided to leave Charles for Chad. She told Charles that she no longer cared for him or JJ. She claimed to be the reincarnated wife of Joseph Smith, stole Charles's truck, took $35,000 from their joint bank account, and disappeared. Charles filed for divorce and got a protective order against Lori because she had made death threats to him before she left. Lori told her brother Alex that Charles was abusing her and the kids, so Alex confronted Charles over the alleged abuse. Charles took a baseball bat and hit Alex. Alex pulled a gun and shot and killed Charles right in front of Tylee and JJ, traumatizing the children. Alex was arrested and would later die due to medical complications related to blood clots and high blood pressure. Chad's wife, Tammy, died due to asphyxiation. Chad claimed that she went to bed with a terrible cough and died in her sleep from natural causes. He did everything in his power to keep the coroner from doing an autopsy, but Tammy's body was exhumed and an autopsy was conducted. The results of the autopsy showed that Tammy was strangled to death, but the police could not prove that Chad was the one to do it. Chad received $430,000 in life insurance payouts from Tammy's death. He took the money and started a new life with Lori. Chad and Lori got married right after Tammy died. At the time, the only children that were living with Chad and Lori were Tylee and JJ. Chad and Lori saw Tylee and JJ as the only thing standing in the way between them and starting a new life together, so they decided to get rid of them. They killed Tylee and JJ and buried them in a pet cemetery near Chad's home. They moved to Hawaii to start their new life while relying on the money Chad got from Tammy's life insurance. However, relatives kept asking where Tylee and JJ were since they haven't seen them in a long time. The couple would lie and say that the kids were staying at their friend Melanie's place. They asked Melanie to lie to people and say that the kids were with her. Melanie refused to do that and called the police. The police investigated and found the dead bodies of Tylee and JJ. Chad and Lori were arrested and charged with murder. Lori was also charged for the murder of her previous husband, Charles. On May 12, 2023, Lori was found guilty of all criminal charges and sentenced to consecutive life sentences for the murder of Tylee, the murder of JJ, and conspiracy to commit the murder of Tammy. Chad has a separate trial scheduled for April 1st, 2024. At the time of this video, he has not been convicted of the murders yet. That's the end of the video. If you like the video, then like and subscribe. It only takes a couple of seconds and it would really help me out. Feel free to check out the other videos on my channel.